On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
The book is kind of organized like an ice cream sundae, is what I like to say. And the ice cream is Glow Up Girl. And that's where we really cover kind of personal growth and development. And then we move into this section, Glam, Bam, Thank You, Ma'am. And that's kind of the sauce. And I go into wellness and beauty and fashion. And then, we go into Lace with Grace, which is really, for me, this is the golden rule of golden rules for all people. And that is life is about the people. So this is all about relationships and demeanor and different situations and how to survive the room,
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Okay, y'all. So if you have been a longtime listener of Mad Rush, listen to the freaking podcast. You may remember the hilarious Katie Keogh, who was on this podcast talking about being a Midwestern mom, empty nester whose daughter went through Rush at TCU. Katie and I keep in touch, and recently she highlighted today's guest's book, Dorm to Doorstep, and wow, I'm obsessed. So author Hilary Afshary is with us today to share some tips, tidbits, and tales for young women, and you guys are going to want this book. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
So I've never even met you we've never even talked. So where are you located?
I'm located in Denver, Colorado. I split my time between Denver and Vail.
Oh God, my husband's going to listen to this and he's going to be like, when can we go see her in Vail? My husband loves to ski Vail and Beaver Creek.
Yeah, we love it up there. I'm actually, though, originally from Virginia. So I grew up there and went to college, an all-women's college, and made my way out west, oh gosh, like 30 some years ago. So
very cool. And I had someone on my podcast recently, Christine Dupre. She's an RN, but she had some great health advice for college students and beyond. And she moved to Atlanta from Montana, and the lifestyle that you guys live is super cool. The hiking, the skiing, all that.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of all those things. My knees are not a huge fan of skiing anymore. But so the reason, well, one, I just wanted to connect with you because I love Katie. But the reason I wanted you on here is because this episode is going to be great for people as this time of preparation ramps up and going off to college. So how did you decide to write this book?
Well, when my daughter was in high school, and she's now going to be a senior out at Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles, when she was going through high school, I observed the juxtaposition between girls really needing advice coupled with and conflicting with their need for independence as they forge, their life away from home. And the very last person they want to get advice from, and it is the person who most wants to give it, is mom, right?
I hear that every single day. I talked to 2 potential clients this morning, and they're both just like, my daughter just won't listen to me. And I mean, that is why, and I'm not trying to do a plug or anything, but that's why we're so successful, because we have these young girls, young women who our clients trust to give them advice, and they can actually hear it when it comes from someone besides their mom.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you and I are kind of in the same business of propping up young women and being their personal cheerleader. And that's really why I wrote Dorm to Doorstep, because, moms get the eye roll. And I thought, hey, I'm going to step back and I'm going to create a book that is written for these young women in hopefully a way that will appeal to them, because it's bright, full of color.
Yeah,
It's
it's really cool
presented.
looking, y'all. Look, well, if you're watching this on video, but it's really cool. Like all the
Yes.
even the what is it? That's not the spine. What are the what is
Oh,
that
the
called?
sprayed edge.
The
So it
sprayed
does
edge. That's
have a
super
fun
cool.
sprayed edge. Yes. And my mentor insisted to me that I had to do this, and she was 100% correct. But I really wrote it in
Wait,
small
who's your
snippets.
mentor?
So I've had many mentors in my life. That's a topic in the book. But currently, the woman that has been helping me with this is a woman named Judith Briles. She's called the Book Shepherd. She's written, I don't know, 50, 60 books.
Oh wow.
And yeah, she kind of helped me with the journey of self-publishing, because I did this all on my own. I even printed it myself. A lot of authors
Wow.
use Amazon KDP to print, but because my book is full of color, it's expensive to print. So I have 1,200 copies sitting in my garage right now. And I printed it myself, but she gave me a lot of mentoring just on the process, because I wrote this book. I actually did it myself in Canva first, like all of
Whoa.
the images. And then I decided that it needed more. And I found this lovely young woman, Taylor Lovell, and she's a 25-year-old SCAD graduate. And she took what I had done and she transformed it into what you see right now. She is
Wow. I
absolutely
needed.
amazing.
You said her name is Taylor.
Her name is Taylor Lovell, Lovell Designs. She lives in Spartansburg, I think now. And yes, she took what I had and she transformed it.
That's cool. So I just literally just recorded with my sorority sister of mine from college, and I want to hear a little bit about your college experience too. But I just recorded with a sorority sister of mine who self-published her novel "Back to Blue Holly" with okay
Yes, I saw
with
that.
yes, and she also self-published, and it's interesting that there are so many different avenues. Like I didn't know you could print it
Yeah.
yourself. Like that's
Yes.
okay. So let's go back to college first, and then I want you to give some specific tips to our listeners, because our listeners and their moms are exactly who this book is written for.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, I went to college in Virginia, Hollins University. It was Hollins College back then. One of kind of
I was
this
about to
group
say,
of
so it's university now. It used to be
It
college.
is university. It used to be college when I was there, and it was one of these 7 private colleges in Virginia, kind of Washington and Lee, Hampton, Sydney, Mary Baldwin, Holland, Sweetbriar, BMI. And so my kind of whole college experience was a sorority, because we were 1,000 women, and but we did not have sororities.
Which is 1,000 women, which is very similar to some of these giant sororities that have
Yes.
close to 1,000 people in them. So
Oh my gosh, I know. And that experience, I learned so much. And some of the stories that are in the book are actually from my college experience, things I learned. That's kind of how the book is constructed, is just all the things that I've kind of learned through my life, through my interaction with other people, moms, girls, even guys, my working career at Intel. I was with Intel for 10 years in community relations and government relations in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's kind of really this whole bundle of fun tips, tidbits, and tales, coupled with some really hard stuff as well, that are the red pages. And these are the things that people really don't always want to talk about. But for a young woman heading off to college, even a young man, to be honest, so many moms have said to me, gosh, I want my boy to read this. Things that we don't often talk about, but that we need to: sexual assault, drugs, drinking and driving, never
yeah,
leaving your drink
I pulled
unattended.
up, I pulled up Well, I just opened it to a red page, and this one is about drinking and driving. Wow.
Yes. And honestly, I was very vulnerable in that story because it talks about two different people that, drank and drove. One of them ended up in prison for killing someone. And this is somebody that we knew that was a young man that was in college. He didn't really party and, just bad,
Gosh.
bad stuff. And then the other person is me, who drank and drove back from Hampton, Sydney, at 1 a.m. and made it by the skin of my teeth. And the only thing that really separated the two of us was luck, because that could have been me. And that was so dumb. And, I tell these stories because I want young people to learn, because this is so important. This is life-changing stuff.
Yes.
This is stuff that can hurt people and hurt you.
Wow. Yeah, that's really powerful. And it is something that I don't understand why anybody in this day and age, I don't care how much money you have or don't have, would drink and drive. There are so many options that you have to get somewhere if you're drinking. We went to a Braves game last night and we took an Uber, and, we weren't going to, this is my husband and we weren't going to get hammered, but I mean, there's just no reason to do it. So that's super cool. And I, to be honest, had not gotten to the serious stuff, but that just makes me even more excited about. All right. So you just started collecting these stories and these lessons. Did you interview people for the book?
It was more just a compilation of things that I had learned from people over, and some of my friends are in here, the stories. They're things that, I was impacted with. There's one called The Damn Shoes. And really the whole point of the story is that, my friend, this is in our 40s, was like, oh, I got the shoes. And they were an expensive pair of shoes. And she could tell that she was nervous saying that I got these shoes. And what did I think of her, I guess? And, really about, what a great world it could be if we didn't judge one another. And you can buy the damn shoes and you can dance the way you want and you can be who you are. And, how wonderful is that? And that's, just encouraging people to think about that, right?
Yes. And I'm really glad people, and they probably do or may do, it would be a perfect world where they didn't, but I am a shoe person. So if someone were to come in my closet and there's this girl on Instagram who does a price breakdown of sorority rush outfits. And I think she's awesome. Yes. Destiny Moraes, I don't know how to say her last name, but if she came in my closet, did a price breakdown, I would be judged. And this is not a new thing. So I used to tell my friend Michelle Page, shout out. I used to tell her that if I hadn't met my husband, I would be living in a box on the street with Prada shoes because I can't, I've never been able to budget in a way that that was a priority. So anyway, buy the damn shoes.
We do go into budgeting, by the way, in the book. That's another.
I'm not reading that part.
Well, I'm a big bargain shopper, so I give some tips on that to try to help you stick to your budget.
That's good. I would love to. Can you give a couple of those? I would love to. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think that is something that I have never touched on this podcast, and it's because it is my husband can keep to a budget. I can't. And doesn't have anything to do with how much money I have.
Right.
It has to do with that. It's not the way my brain works. I completely shut off when I see anything like that or think about anything like that. It's just, I'm very either left brain or right brain or whatever. But yeah, it's been one of my hugest faults my entire life is I can't budget.
Well, I do give some tips on that. The book is kind of organized like an ice cream sundae, is what I like to say. And the ice cream is Glow Up Girl. And that's where we really cover kind of personal growth and development. And then we move into this section, glam, bam, thank you, ma'am. And that's kind of the sauce. And I go into wellness and beauty and fashion. And, in here, I kind of have a fun poem about, don't just buy it because it's on sale, because we can all kind of get caught up in that. Shopping mantras that, things like make a list of what you already have seasonally, so you don't get caught up always in the bargain, looking for the lowest price. Consider it the fact that it could be dry clean versus hand wash, because that can cost you exponentially more. Don't One of the things that I do like to say is, don't always just wait for the occasion to buy it. If it's a classic staple, buy it, because that's what I do. It never fails. If I go out to look for something for an occasion, I cannot find it.
Oh,
but
gosh, yes, that's a great point.
Yeah. So, that chapter has all kinds of things. What are timeless pieces? What are closet staples? My daughter created this whole capsule wardrobe formula for, to follow when you're traveling or when you're going off to college. So those things are on the glam bam. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. She did a really great job on that. I'm like, Eva, I've got to, grab that from you to share. And then, we go into Lace with Grace, which is really, for me, this is the golden rule of golden rules for all people. And that is, life is about the people. So this is all about relationships and demeanor and different situations and how to survive the room, and that, when I was researching for this book, back when I was working, there were three things that people were most fearful. It was asking people for money, public speaking, and death. And when I researched for the book, I found that, yes, death and public speaking were still on there. But what I really found is that, loneliness and self-esteem and confidence are things these young people are struggling with. So really, giving them some tools, to create relationships, because it's through relationships, just like you said, and you talk about so much with your posts on Instagram about relationships and kind of the whole rush process and getting letters, etc. But relationships are kind of what brings people together. That's how I ended up here, was through the connection with Katie. And it's just so important for these young people to learn that. Yes. And then we kind of go into the last chapter, which is Gather Around with Goodness. And that's really that day-to-day living and fun recipes for sorority supper or for, Sunday family dinners with your friends, all the adulting 101. That's where the budgeting stuff comes in, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow. I mean, you've covered so much, and it's all really great. And it's
thank you.
Well, and it's organized in such a way that you can just open it up and just go to a page. And
yes.
So I want to do that. So the people listening, and y'all, this is going to air after graduation for most places, high school graduation. But I think every listener should give this to their going off to school. I think some guys would like it, but I'm telling you, my listeners are mostly female, and yes. I am imploring you, and I'm not trying to do a sales thing here. I'm really not. This is just great, and there's something for everyone. So, is there a way that we can go through in our limited time and sort of pick like a couple pieces of, or tips or tidbits or whatever from each of those section of the ice cream sundae?
Sure. Let's start in the glow up girl section. And, and honestly, this book is really, yes, it's a great graduation gift, but great, care package, back to school, stocking stuffer, birthday for these girls starting at age 16. Although funny, a lot of middle school girls are seeing their older sister's copy laying around, yes. And they cannot wait to pick it up because it's bright and colorful and fun. But, so in the beginning of kind of this glow up girl and what drives it throughout is that we're all on a different path, right? We all have a different journey. It's so easy to compare ourselves to others and our
Mm-hmm.
journey and our path to others, but it's really forging your own path. And there's a fun game in the first section. I call it, the unicorn game, but it's really about finding your passion. So there used to be a book a long time ago, What Color is Your Parachute? And I would say it's
Oh
in
yeah, I
that
remember that.
vein. Yes, yes. But this is just a 2-page, like, what really, ignites your spark versus what dims your spark? Where do you lose track of time versus, oh my gosh, I'm watching the clock. I can't wait for this to be over. Trying to really recognize personality traits and your things that you love and don't love to kind of help you build what you're seeking, whether that be a job or a hobby or whatever. But, that's a fun game in there. And then anxiety and problem solving. So some anxiety busters. I think I list, the top 10 anxiety busters. And to that end, I created a really short 3-minute meditation podcast that I do every day, Monday through Fridays, with young people in mind, because 3 minutes is about all that they
Oh,
want to
that's
spend on
awesome.
something like that. Yes, it's called Your Daily 3 Meditation, but it's really just to give thanks, because we do talk about gratitude and we do talk about setting intentions, but so that, for 3 minutes, you give gratitude every day and set an intention. And for the example, this week, I took a break from themes and we're just focusing on our breath, because May is so darn busy and everybody's in a frenzy. But we also talk about problem solving. So a
Wait,
formula
I'm
for,
interrupting you first.
yes.
The since I have started my business in 2017, I have wanted to create a meditation for those things, and I haven't done it. And so, but just because I've been doing, and I'm not saying you haven't been doing a lot of other stuff, but I've had a lot of things. So that's been on the back burner. So I'm excited you did it for me. So now I can
Well,
just,
great.
I can just send my clients and people there instead. I'm really excited about
Great.
that. I didn't mean to
Thank
interrupt you,
you.
but I think
Well,
it's
I
so
couldn't
important.
find one. I couldn't
Yeah.
find one that was 3 minutes. I just wanted 3 minutes. I didn't want
Yes.
10 minutes, because 3 minutes is sometimes all we have. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And I clearly did not have or make the time to do that. And I'm so grateful that that's a resource that I can give to my clients, because I think it's so being positive and the intention, gratitude and intention. If anybody out there is listening, I talk about that a lot. Preparing with intention, doing things with intention. And I think this would be so great for you guys to listen to, or just 3 minutes. I can even give 3
Yeah.
minutes. So, all right.
Yeah.
So,
So we do that in the first part, living your bucket list, not waiting until you're retired to live your bucket list, focusing on positives over negatives. I do include some, fun quotes throughout, Brene Brown or Mel Robbins or Reese Witherspoon, because there's some very wise women out there. And I try to throw in quotes. And then, in all of these chapters are sprinkled the red pages. So it's not to incite fear, etc., and danger, but just as a small, aside. Hey, don't forget about this. Really in the glam bam, thank you, ma'am. I give some wellness tips, of course, sunscreen, things like that. But then, we have a little conversation about the freshman 15, which in today's day and age, it's still there. And, how to healthily look at that, and how to think about our bodies, and, what's healthy for us. It's a lot more of the focus on health than appearance. It's more, a healthy appearance is being in a healthy weight. And I'm not a medical professional. I just use kind of, I had some body image issues when I was in college. And so just using my experience to talk about that. But that's not something that people talk about a lot. I mean, it is, but, really being vulnerable and honest about it.
as someone who struggled with my weight all the time, growing up, that is not an easy thing to talk about.
No, it's not. And then I kind of move into how to accentuate all of our positives, right? The best necklines for our body, for our figure, because we're all different. What are the best silhouettes? Excuse me. Very simple beauty tips. I am not a huge, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I've used oil of Olay with SPF since I was 15 years old. That's
Oh,
what I
wow.
use. Then
You
we
have
go
great
kind of
skin.
into, well, thank you. Thank you. Maybe oil of Olay will read my book. I don't know.
So one of the things that I really, that is kind of an unpopular opinion, if you will, perhaps, is that first impressions matter.
And they do.
At least, and professionally, and you talk about this outfits of the day during rush and how young women present themselves, not only from the beginning, like with their social media accounts or their letters, but how they present themselves during rush. And so we get into like some of the tips. And, when my husband was at Intel and he wore shorts to work, and I was like, okay, Tony, honey, like, I think you need to dress for the future you. Because, dress like a director, and hence you open the door for people to perceive you as a director. So we get into a little bit of that.
Which is great advice. Dress for the future you.
Yeah, just, and then we go into the shopping tips, and then we come to this laced with grace section. And, I mentioned before that relationships, that's my golden rule of golden rule. And I like to think of them as your favorite stuffy. And, most young women going off to college still take their favorite stuffy or their blanket. And, I make that parallel because you nurture, you care for your stuffy just like you would your relationships. But also, if it gets germy or toxic, my daughter's little froggy kind of got disgusting after a while, maybe it's time to let it go, but always replace it because, relationships really create, the memories that you're going to remember when you're old. And they're going to give you a place to share your talent, your love, your generosity. So we go into that, but then we kind of get into the nitty gritty, like using diplomacy, like when you're writing your emails. And I call them pleasantries, and they're kind of like appetizers to an entree, is just using diplomacy when you're communicating with people. I give some tips about the job hunt and, how to set up a successful job hunt and bring in the people, because so many young people today, I've watched it, and they're a little less excited about using their relationships to get a job. And honestly, I've never gotten a job without a relationship in my adult life. And it's just so important.
Yeah.
So we talk about that. We talk about the real power of I'm sorry. No matter what age you are, I'm sorry has the power to diffuse any situation. And as long as you're sincere and mean it, it really can just take that relationship to a new level.
I talk about that in my book. And that is something, if someone has made mistakes in high school, there are some that you can't recover from, but but always just, if you want to repair something, say you're sorry, and it will diffuse anything. And you're so right about that. I mean, you give so much. There's so much in this book. And so I think that people should just get the book to get these tips. And I'm going to give it to my clients. But here's the thing that I want to do now, before we do the outfit of the day. Will you walk me through a 3-minute meditation that someone who's listening, or will you do it? Can you do that? I may be putting you on the spot.
Well, I can. Yes, I absolutely can. I can take you through, for example, today's meditation, if you would like.
Yes, that would be amazing.
That is posted on Spotify. Usually I do have music playing, to accompany it. So you have to kind of remember that. But yes, so we'll just go right into it.
Okay.
Or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to your midweek moment to pause, to breathe, to come back to center amid the flurry of the month. Let's begin by getting comfortable. Let your body settle into stillness. Close your eyes or lower your gaze if that feels safe. Become one with the quiet within. This is your time. Now, let's take 3 steady breaths together. Inhale slowly. Exhale completely. Again, inhale and exhale. One more deep breath in and let it all go. With each breath, let your body soften. Let the pace of your day slow. Just for now, let your shoulders drop, your belly relax, your hands unclench. There's nothing to do but breathe. There's nowhere to be but here. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your breath moves. Let it be simple. Now, gently turn your awareness toward gratitude. What are 3 things you feel grateful for in this moment? Take your time. Let them arise naturally. Hold each one with a breath. And now, invite one intention forward. Let it surface like a gentle ripple. Whatever you need today, trust it will come. Feel the steadiness this moment brings. Feel the clarity in your breath. You've reset. You've returned. Now, gently open your eyes if they were closed and return to the present moment. Thank you so much for being here. Go out and make it a great day.
That's
Namaste.
amazing. Namaste. Missed that.
Namaste.
That's so cool. I'm so excited about that. I mean,
Thank you.
I did that with you, as you could probably see, and it really worked. And
Thank you.
I'm very excited about sharing that.
Thank you.
And so after outfit of the day, I want you to, observation of the day. I'm still like, whoo, I'm relaxed, which is not the best thing to do when you're hosting a podcast, but I'll just go to sleep now.
I know.
But I'm going to ask you to tell people specifically where they can find that. And you may have done it, but I want to make sure because I didn't write it down. So, okay, if you did your homework, which I'm betting you did because you're very thorough, #OOTD. It was popularized by Bama Rush.
Right.
We're doing #observation of the day. And what is your #observation of the day?
Well, I just go back to kind of part of something that I say within the book and every day, and that's #live life, love life your way. And so that's my hashtag. And that's really behind the book. This is to create the life that you want.
And that's a good point. She's helping us create the life that we want, and it's uniquely ours. And I'm so grateful that you shared this just today, but there's so much more in your book, and I'm really, really, really excited to use it as a tool to help young women. So thank you.
Thank you so much thank you so much for having me.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right, Collier, we are done. That was amazing. It was really great. And I mean, he'll be able to edit out that. I don't know. That was really weird.
I don't know what happened. It might have been these headsets or something. But thank you so much, Trisha. Thank you, really.
He just said had to take Marisol. Okay. Okay, so we have to wait for him. This is really great. And I'm super
Thanks.
excited about. So can I share that meditation
Yes.
with my clients?
Yes, absolutely. It's up. I mean, I just do it, right? I do it every day. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on iHeartRadio, Spotify.
So wait, let's stop. Let's go back. Okay, so I forgot to do that part. So I'm asking you for me personally. Okay. So that was amazing. Almost fell asleep, but brought some much needed peace to my day. And where can people find this information? Find you and your book and your meditations.
Okay, so hilaryafshary.com. You can find everything, but you can also get the book on Amazon and look for the book with the pretty sprayed edge. And then the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it's Your Daily 3 is the name of it. And I'm on there Monday through Fridays, and I usually do a theme, but like the one you heard today, I really focused on breath because of the frenzy of May this week.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I would love, and I'm going to go back and listen to them, but I like the theme, the specific stuff too. So I'm really excited for you guys to do this, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. Okay, so today's guest, her book really does have some really fun, informative stuff, as well as she addresses some issues that I try to address sometimes on this podcast, but sometimes it's a little too hard. So Dorm to Doorstep, get it. And we also, you just heard us meditate. And I think that is something that is really important to do during Rush itself. Give yourself 3 minutes, and you can use her meditation, your own meditation, whatever resonates with you. But this week is chaos, or this 2 weeks, or this 10 days, or whatever. It's chaos. So you need to intentionally go forward, as you know. And one way to set yourself up for this is to meditate before each day of Rush begins. And I think that's a great thing to do, and can help you have a great day and a great day in Rush. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush Podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at Rush with Confidence. If you would like to reach out to us, or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. Don't Touch My Radio. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.